أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولولا إذ سمعتموه قلتم ما يكون لنا أن نتكلم بهذا سبحانك هذا بهتان عظيم يعظكم الله أن تعودوا لمثله أبدا إن كنتم مؤمنين ويبين الله لكم الآيات والله عليم حكيم صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات بيجي محمد وعلى Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Continuing with the tafsir of Surat al Noor, we've reached verses 16, 17, and 18 that I just recited in front of you. We left off when we were talking about some of the vices and the evils of this tongue, afatul lisan. And we see in this ayat as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses by saying, would that on hearing this report, you had said we have nothing to say about it. God forbid, it is a serious accusation. God advises you never to do such things again. If you have any faith, God explains to you His revelations. He's all-knowing and all-wise. In this regard, we see that the points that we can derive from this ayah, now I'm assuming that the previous matalib are in your minds as we left off last night, that in these three verses, the word azim has been repeated. Once for adhabun azim, two times for buhtanun azim, the magnanimity of the crime, to show us that this is not a small thing. Don't take it for granted. It is indeed azim. And that which is azim in the sight of Allah is definitely azim. And so in regards to sinning, we also hear that if you consider any of the sins to be minor, if you consider any of the sins to be small, that itself is considered to be among the major sins. So just considering something which is bad and saying, I've done many bigger things, what is this? You don't give yourself a license to do something when you have done something major, na'udhu billah. So a lot of people, I don't know if you come across such people, but you hear this all the time. When we tell them that, adhere to this or do that, they say, what a makruh going to hurt me when I have committed, haram of so and so and so. So this way, you're basically giving yourself a license to go ahead and commit a wrongdoing because you've already committed something which is bigger than that. No, this right away, when you consider something is small, itself is considered to be a major sin. So therefore, avoid calling any sin to be small and comparing it with what you have already committed. So here in these verses, Allah uses the word azim. Once for adhabun azim, because indeed the adhab and the wrath is going to be huge and humongous, but also buhtan, with this slander and this rumor that you spread in regards to this individual, that is also considered to be azim as well. Messages that we learn from this particular ayah, we see that nahi anil munkar is wajib. We are responsible for what we hear and what we say, obviously, and therefore we need to rectify if something wrong is being addressed in the society. When you face important issues, like how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching, and this is the tarbiyat of Quran as well, how Quran is doing the tarbiyat when you recite these ayat. They say when you hear something with this magnitude, say subhanallah, as how it says in this particular ayah, أَن نَتَكَلَّمَ بِهَذَا سُبْحَانَكَ هَذَا بُهْتَانٌ عَظِيمٌ. Say subhanallah when you hear such a thing. You know how in Quran as well, whenever God is associated of having children, on many occasions, Jews and Christians and others have associated God having children. And so right away, those ayat, when they're mentioned, right after that ayah, it says subhanallah, or subhanahu, or subhanaka, that you associate children or having kids with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then it says God advises you never to do such things. So now that you have gone past the sin, the thing to remember is not to repeat it. That's the biggest obstacle that you and I face. We go ahead and repent for something, but then we find ourselves right back at that thing again when we are repeating it. Repeating and being musir on committing that sin is actually itself is very huge. So people are indeed in need of advice of God, and God is the best reminder or best advisor. That's why it says, Ya'idukumullah, that Allah is giving you this wa'az, Allah is advising you. When we see in our lives how, we take the advices from others, every aspect of our life, we take advice. We take expert advice on different areas. We talked about that the other day as well. But some people, when it comes to taking decisions, instead of getting consultation or advice, they jump directly to istikhara. So before doing istishara, they go to istikhara. There are two terminologies that I use. Istishara comes from mashwara, to consult. Istikhara comes from opening the Quran and seeking the advice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You say, well, istikhara is much better. But those who taught us how to do istikhara gave us a criteria as well, saying that when you run into a dead end, when you have two equal opportunities and your mind is unable to take a decision on one or the other, this is the time when you go ahead and seek istikhara. Other than that, if there's only one option for you, you don't really need to, you don't have to, or you should not do istikhara at that particular option. Therefore, we get a lot of calls every day, people asking us to do istikhara. And if I can just answer them and get the istikhara, it'll take me 1 minute. But to explain them this, it takes 15 minutes and end up giving advice to these individuals. There's one option for them. For example, they want to buy a house. There's only one option that they're looking for, and then they want to do istikhara on top of that to see if that house is okay for them or not. No, you go ahead and do istishara. You go ahead and ask the area, people who live in that area, what kind of area that is. You go ahead and ask and see, what kind of neighborhood that is, if it is close to your work, if it's close to the school of the kids, and the school system is good or not. And then, if it's top of your priority, is there a masjid nearby? Is there an Imam Barga closer by in the vicinity so that you can go and perform your daily prayers over there and attend the daily programs over there? If this criteria is fulfilled, go for that house. Forget about the istikhara in this particular situation. Yes, but if you have two equal opportunities and your mind is unable to decide on either one, then you go ahead and do istikhara over there. Same thing goes when it comes to marriage proposals. There's only one marriage proposal that has come after many years, and we want to go ahead and do istikhara on that because we haven't done anything without istikhara, or at least anything important without istikhara in our life. No, this option has come after such a long time. Go ahead and use it. Yes, go ahead and do the research. Find out about the family. Go ahead and do all of the background check that you have to, meeting and seeing and whatnot and speaking to people, and then come to a conclusion as to what you want to do. But don't go ahead and jump to istikhara when it comes to marriage, when it comes to buying a house, when it comes to all of these important decisions of life. And unfortunately, when it comes out to be a negative, then people are questioning, can we do it again? Why do you want to do it again if you already gotten the answer? Therefore, you were inclined to do this thing. You were just trying to get the commitment from, or the confirmation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that if it also comes just from that end, you go ahead and push for this thing, and then you leave it up to it. So, we need to make rational decisions. We need to go ahead and do this mashwarat. Go ahead and consult, as Quran is telling us over here. We use advisors in various fields, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best advisor. Yes, use his this istikhara in a situation where you're unable to make up your mind and you have two equal opportunities. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we see in Quran there are a lot of places the advices are being given. Surah Luqman is filled with the advices that Luqman is given to his son. Quran is counted among the advisors as well. It says, Hadha bayanun lin-nasi wa hudan wa maw'idhatun lil-muttaqin, that this is an explanation for mankind and a guidance and an advice for the God-wary, those who have taqwa. When dealing with others, also Quran says, Udu'u ila sabili rabbika bil-hikmati wal-maw'idhati al-hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good advice. Do not shun them away. Rather speak to them in a way that you're giving them advice and with wisdom, and dispute with them in a manner that is best. So even if it comes to jidal, even if it comes to, although you're not supposed to do jidal when you're fasting, it could lead to breaking of the fast, but do not dispute. If you have disputes, then do it and handle it in a manner which is considered to be the ahsan manner, or the best of the manners. Secondly, we see that Imam Iman, rather, is a precondition for the effect of the advice. So if a person has faith, person believes, then it will affect them. Otherwise, they will be lacking the effect of this advice. And thirdly, not repeating the mistake, as this ayat is saying, is a sign of Iman as well. So, تَعُودُوا لِمِثْلِهِ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. That when you have learned from this mistake, you committed it, now you have been admonished about it, now you have been told that I was wrong, when you have repented, now do not go ahead and repeat this mistake. Why? Because repeating the mistake is a sign of a person who does not believe. He's lacking the faith. And that's why Hadith says that mu'min doesn't get bit from the same hole twice. So when we stick our hand into the same hole twice, we know we got bit the first time, we're gonna get bit. There's more than likely the chance that we will be getting bitten again. So there's a difference between knowledge and Iman. If you told someone that alcohol is an intoxicant which destroys our body from head to toe and also affects our children, our relationship, it is an addiction which brings poverty and illness and obliterates our life, a person might revert back. You go ahead and tell them all these solid evidences, they might revert back. But we see people, even then, by seeing all of these examples, do not take heed and continue down the path of destruction by consuming this alcohol. Reason is there is lack of faith or having no control over the desire of that particular thing. So they have knowledge of its bad effects, kind of like smoking as well. They have knowledge of its bad effects. There's a big label printed on it saying that it kills, it does this, it does that. Yet, we have the knowledge of that, but we don't have faith and Iman, I guess, or there's a desire of that thing which does not let us quit. This is where we can understand that knowledge and Iman are two different things. A lot of people possess a great deal of knowledge, but they lack Iman, and because of this lack of Iman, they're unable to put into practice what they have learned. So they don't practice what they have already learned. We talked about it in the very beginning of our lectures in the second or third of Ramadan when we were talking about the concept of taqwa. Among the explanations of taqwa that Masoom has given to us, he says that to learn that which you do not know and act that which you already know. So among the signs of muttaqeen is that if you know something, preaching it as well, you go ahead and practice it, put it into practice, and then go ahead and tell others. Salawat diji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad par. Next ayah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُحِبُّونَ أَن تَشِيعَ الْفَاحِشَةُ فِي الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. It says, those who like to publicize indecency among the believers will face painful torment in this world and in their life to come. God knows what you do not know. Were it not for the favor and the mercy of Allah upon you, you would have faced painful punishment in this world and in the life to come. God is compassionate and merciful. Points that we derive from this particular ayah, we see that spreading indecency is sometimes through tongue and pen. We talked about it yesterday. By means of revealing the secrets and the indecent acts of others, and sometimes by encouraging people towards sinning by providing tools that which they can sin with. So that is also, you are sharik when you are providing those tools for someone to go ahead and commit that sin. Here, when you come to, on the contrary, when you come to this place, you're being provided with the tools to go ahead and increase your Iman. You're provided with the tools to go ahead and increase your faith and to take part in that which is ta'awanu ala al-birri wa taqwa, to go ahead and cooperate in that which is good and which is at the level of piety by taking contribution, by taking part in the contributions that are over here. For example, giving the iftar to other individuals, as it was being announced earlier, there are some days that are still left behind. So jump to as-sabiqun, ulaika al-muqarrabun. Jump to that because it's an opportunity which has been given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take part in that which is considered to be taqwa or considered to be a good deed. So the messages that we learn from this particular ayah, it says that, spreading indecency sometimes has different shapes and sounds. So you got to avoid all types of it. This is where we see a hadith from our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wa salam. He said, if a person hears something about another mu'min and tells others of that thing, in other words, it spreads it, he is the misdaq of this particular ayah. He's the mistaq of this particular ayah. What is the ayah says? Those who like to publicize indecency among believers will face painful torment in this world and in that life to come. So if you hear about someone something, keep it to yourself. We read in another hadith that anyone who spreads someone's indecent act is like the one who has committed that act himself. So I learned someone did something and I'm spreading it. Allah, according to this hadith, I am among those who have done that act. So why would I want to take that indecent act upon me when I have really nothing to do with it? I haven't really done it. But because I'm associating with another individual. So we see how Islam wants to stop us from committing this crime, and from this crime to spreading this crime. How does it go about it? Saying that you will end up being on the same saf, in the same lane as the person who has just committed this crime. So therefore stay away from it. Messages in this ayat are inclination towards the sin is a prelude to it. So you're inclined towards it, you're going to end up, more than likely going to go ahead and commit it. Secondly, stripping someone of their honor results in the wrath of this world and as well as the hereafter. That's why it says, Adhabun alim fid dunya wal akhirah. Next ayah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tattabi'u khutuwat ash-shaytan, wa man yattabi' khutuwat ash-shaytan, fa innahu ya'muru bil fahsha'i wal munkar, wa lawla fadlullahi alaykum wa rahmatuh. Ma zaka minkum min ahadin abada. O you who have faith, do not follow shaitan's footsteps. Whoever follows shaitan's footsteps should know that he indeed prompts you to commit indecent and wrongful deeds. Were it not for the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His mercy upon you, none of you would ever become pure. One thing, if you notice in the last 6 ayat, and I recite the ayat over and over, and I recite the translation over and over, that something is being repeated over and over. In ayat number 10, 14, 20, and 21, this particular sentence was repeated. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ. If it was not for the mercy and the virtue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would have been somewhere else. Allah is reminding us over and over that whatever you do, if any good comes out of you, let it be known that it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is only due to the tawfiq that He has given to you. You were able to come to this masjid, it's the tawfiq that Allah has given to you to be able to attend the program. If you're able to attend the Farsh Aza of Sayyid al-Shuhada, it is because Allah has given you this tawfiq that you're able to come to the Farsh Aza. If you're able to fast in the month of Ramadan, it's the tawfiq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you. So He keeps on reminding, وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. If it was not for the fadl of Allah upon you and His mercy upon you, you don't know what would have happened to you. You would have been lost, as many are. So the word khutuwat, which is being used over here, is the plural for khutwa, which means step. Which means the Quran addresses shaitan and addresses the shaitan's method for dragging mankind into deviation. He says, steps of shaitan tells us that he's trying to mislead step by step and gradually. We talked about it at another time, I believe, when the word khutuwat shaitan had come, that Allah did not say, do not follow shaitan. Rather, He said, do not follow the steps of shaitan. Forget about following him and what he's preaching. Forget about all of that. But it's, in the initial stage, don't even follow these steps of the shaitan. Forget about the action itself. It's steps which are leading you towards that indecent act. Stay away from that. And so therefore it is explaining to us the method that shaitan adopts. Method is gradual. I guess shaitan is aware of our psyche, is aware of our way of doing things. That when you tell mankind something gradually, over and over, step by step, it affects them. And they end up falling victim to that. And so therefore we see that to counterattack, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, guides us gradually. He sent 124,000 prophets, one after another, somewhere in the same time, but 124,000, some had to be together at one time. But He sent one after another. Why? So that this guidance is given gradually over and over and over. And when our last prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, left this world, the silsila of imamat began. That was also one imam after another, one imam after another. And then when the last of those Imams came, Allah prolonged his life for such a long time that he will remain until the Day of Judgment. So the Day of Judgment will not happen until the Imam reappears. But unfortunate part is that nobody will deny the existence of shaitan, because the fact that we do wrongdoings every day, we have to blame someone. Shaitan is misguiding us. So shaitan is existing. Well, if it wasn't enough of a proof, the Quran tells us that shaitan exists, Iblis exists, and his army exists, and Masumin have explained to us on numerous occasions the party of shaitan and whatnot. Yes, we know. Everybody believes in the existence of shaitan, who is there to misguide mankind. But people have a hard time believing the existence of Imam Mahdi, who is there to guide mankind. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So when Allah can let shaitan misguide people and let him go ahead and do that, why can't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same Allah, leave a method of guidance for mankind? Yes, this method, it might be in hiding right now, but it still is providing guidance through all the means. And we see that this Imam is someone who is going to come back, and when he does come back, the riwayat say he will fill the earth when it will be filled with injustice. And he will also, one of his titles is Muntaqim. One of the titles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also Muntaqim, the one who's going to take revenge. And he's indeed going to take revenge from those atrocities that have happened over the years. Among them is the atrocity that was committed in the land of Karbala. When the family of Hussein is marching into Karbala, they're not there to fight. Had they gone for fight, they would be carrying with them all different types of arsenal and weaponry. And they would be bringing with them, men who are able to fight. Rather, we see the party of Hussein is merely children and women alongside. And they're trying to give the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is where Imam Hussein, one sentence inshallah will finish, said when he opposed the group on the other side, the caravan of Umar Asad, what did Imam reply by saying? Every person who went, they gave advice, following these teachings of Quran. They gave advice. Come back, you're making a mistake, and so on and so forth. Imam Hussein did itmam hujjat as well. He said, why is it that my words, which are so heavy and will affect anyone, after 1400 years, when we hear the words of Imam Hussein, they have effect on us. Why is it that when I'm saying something to you, it has no effect on you? And then Imam gave a reason himself. He said, because your bellies are filled with haram. لأن بطونكم مملوء بالحرام, that your bellies are filled with haram. So Imam gave a reason as to why there was no effect of the words of Imam. But Mahdi Ma'ud will come back, and inshallah he will fill and he will take this intaqam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to be able to follow these commands of Ma'sumin alayhi salatu wassalam. O Allah, hasten the zuhur of our weighted Imam and make us among the helpers and the soldiers of Imam. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.